Hi Charlie, great to have you on the program. And my first question for you is, what does plastic mean to you?
Hi Maurice, thanks for having me. Well, I think it goes without saying that plastic forms pretty much every part of our daily lives. But the extraction, the refining, the manufacturing of plastics are all actually very carbon intensive activities. On top of this, at the disposal stage, incineration of plastic waste releases, as we all know, a lot of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. But I think the reality is when we look at plastics, it's not something we can really live without at the moment. So the question also becomes, what can we do to mitigate the carbon intensity of plastics? And how can we become circular at speed? So essentially returning used plastics to the supply chain rather than having it sort of become waste. So this requires, of course, legislation, industry standards to be set, but also really for companies that make and use plastic to establish partnerships and change the way they operate to develop joint solutions that can improve circularity, which is, as you know, something that we are doing at the Global Impact Coalition.
Yeah, chemical companies joined forces to become more sustainable in the Global Impact Coalition. Please elaborate a little bit more on the meaning of the Global Impact Coalition.
Yeah, so the Global Impact Coalition was incubated at the World Economic Forum, led by CEOs of some of the largest chemical companies who saw it really as their collective responsibility to accelerate industry transformation towards net zero, circular economy, but really to accelerate this at speed. The chemical industry accounts for, as we know, around 6% of all greenhouse gas emissions. At the current rate of emissions, we would have actually used up the carbon budget by 2029 to stay within the 1.5-degree target. So something had to be done. And this really is where the mission of the GIC was born, to essentially have an enabling platform to tackle challenges together that any individual company might not do or be able to do alone, and to collaborate across the value chain to drive sort of real impact through project pilots.
The last question, it's about the partnership between Brightlands Circular Space and the Global Impact Coalition. How do you see that partnership?
A big focus point of the GIC is really moving to innovative proof of concept pilots that can later be scaled. So this is sort of the model that we are basing ourselves on. We found Brightlands to be extremely well placed strategically, both in terms of course, geographical location, respective to our current members, where there's a big sort of European pull, but also in terms of how they are already embedded into the broader industry from both a public-private perspective, but also from sort of a startup network perspective. Brightlands is also working with many GIC members already, so there was an initial element of sort of a high level of trust really that involved when we started speaking together. So it was really a no-brainer to form a partnership, especially in view of having a potential sort of plug and play when it comes to piloting projects or technologies. As we all know, these pilots, they don't happen overnight, right? But equally, I don't see our partnership as an overnight partnership. I see this as very much a long-term partnership. Plus, I do like the occasional Brightlands breakfast. So I am always quite happy to have our meetings hosted at Brightlands.